This reading is from the Holy Gospel according to the tradition of St. Luke. The apostles said to the Lord, "Increase our faith." The Lord replied, "If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you would say to this mulberry tree, 'Be uprooted and planted in the sea,' and it would obey you. Who among you would say to your servant who has just come in from plowing or tending sheep in the field, 'Come here immediately and take your place at table'? Would he not rather say to him, 'Prepare something for me to eat, put on your apron and wait on me while I eat and drink? You may eat and drink when I am finished'? Is he grateful to that servant because he did what was commanded? So should it be with you. When you have done all you have been commanded, say, 'We are unprofitable servants. We have done what we were obliged to do.'" The Gospel of the Lord. Praise you, Lord. Well, if those words in Luke's Gospel were ever on your tongue, the words "increase our faith," what exactly would you be asking for? Faith is, simply put, a way of envisioning and seeing life that is meant to integrate the components of life in a way that defines and brings you more closely into communion with God. And in the Christian faith, that vision is shared with us in the person of Jesus Christ, whom we believe is God's only Son. So in and through our attentiveness to that person, we are then asked to take that way of, and those attitudes that are meant to enter into the experience of life, such that we will inevitably find ourselves drawn more faithfully into that mystery. Well, how do you increase that kind of vision? How do you make that more real for yourselves? Well, there's been many traditional ways of doing that. Some people do it by trying to integrate into their lives a regular experience of prayer or of communication with God. Others do it by trying to be attentive faithfully to a weekly or sometimes even a daily worship experience. Others do it by participating not only in those things, but in sacramental life in our religious tradition. Some try to do it by public witness, by themselves reaching out in a variety of ways with the resources of their life to extend care and compassion and service where it is most needed. Some will actually go out of their way to actually study the scripture and the tradition and the history of their church and seek to grow more faithfully again into what has been and be, in fact, somehow progenitors of its future. But I think that the key to this desire to grow in faith is basically to grow in the definition of yourself in communion with God. And of course, we don't do that in some kind of abstract way. We do that in and through our daily connections and communion with one another. And so each generation is called to experience this gift by the generation that has preceded it. And that gift is passed down again in more ways than are countable. But most importantly, it is passed down by actually the example of our lives and by the identity that we take on in living our lives. Perhaps the saint whose feast day we celebrated on Friday kind of captures this best, St. Francis of Assisi, when he says to us, "Pray always, and if you need to, use words." In other words, the prayer that you need to do is the one that takes you into the experience of living out this reality day after day.